Hotline.
Hotline.
Call our crime hotline today.
Hotlink.
Hotlink.
Hotly.
Hotly.
The rumor has been hotly denied.
One of the most hotly contested congressional elections.
The man ran out of the store hotly pursued by security guards. The man ran out of the store hotly pursued by security guards.
Hot pants.
Hot pants.
Hot plate.
Hot plate.
Hot pot.
Hot pot.
Hot potato.
Hot potato.
The issue has become a political hot potato.
Hot rod.
Hot rod.
Hots.
Hots.
Hot shot.
Hot shot.
A hotshot lawyer.
Hotspot.
Hotspot.
Many microwaves heat unevenly, leading to hot spots in the milk.
Hot spots of radioactivity were found near the power station. Hot spots of radioactivity were found near the power station.
They played regularly at legendary hot spots, such as the UFO Club.
The report identified 8 pollution hotspots.
Hot spring.
Hot spring.
Hot-tempered.
Hot-tempered.
Hottie. Hottie.
Hot tub.
Hot tub.
Hot water bottle.
Hot water bottle.
Hot wire.
Hot wire.
Hummus.
Hummus.
Hound.
Hound. Hound.
After the court case, Lee was hounded relentlessly by the press. After the court case, Lee was hounded relentlessly by the press.
The family were hounded out of their home by 18 months of abuse. The family were hounded out of their home by 18 months of abuse.
Hour. Hour.
The interview will last about 2 hours. I study for an hour every night. I'll be back in 3 hours. 3 hours later, he was back. Her bag was stolen within hours of her arrival. Her bag was stolen within hours of her arrival.
You weren't interested in my story a half-hour ago.
It takes about a quarter of an hour to walk into town. After 4 hours of talks, an agreement was reached. The hotel is only an hour's drive from the airport. A top speed of 120 miles an hour.
This was freelance work paid by the hour.
A 5-hour delay.
Hours of business, 9 to 5.
Please call during office hours. The advantages of flexible working hours.
The long hours worked by hospital doctors.
Many hospital staff have to work unsocial hours.
She knew that he kept late hours.
There was a knock on the door in the early hours of the morning. Who can be calling at this late hour?
The park is open during daylight hours. Few people dared to venture out during the hours of darkness.
We had to get up at some ungodly hour to catch a plane.
If you have a problem, you know you can call at any hour of the day or night.
She's up studying till all hours.
We had to spend hours filling in forms.
It'll keep the children amused for hours on end.
A really boring lecture that went on for hours and hours.
She lay awake for hour after hour.
There are flights to Boston every hour on the hour.
It's 12 minutes before the hour, and you're listening to Morning Edition on NPR.
The helicopter's lifted off at 0600 hours.
This financial crisis is growing more serious by the hour.
I usually do the crossword in my lunch hour.
This was our country's finest hour.
One of the burning questions of the hour.
Hourglass.
Hourglass.
Our hand.
Our hand.
Hourly.
Hourly.
Hourly news broadcasts.
Buses run at hourly intervals.
They are paid an hourly rate.
The database is updated hourly.
House.
House.
A 4-bedroom house. Every room in the house. We met at Alison's house.
Why don't you all come over to our house for coffee? He gets up at 6 and disturbs the whole house.
The BBC television studios at Broadcasting House. The Speaker of the House.
America's oldest publishing house.
A small independent software house.
An auction house.
A famous Italian fashion house. The show has been playing to full houses. The house was half empty.
The house lights went down and the music started.
The show has been playing to packed houses since it opened.
A glass of house red, please.
The two of them set up house in Brighton.
His daughter keeps house for him.
The House of Windsor.
The refugees are being housed in temporary accommodation.
The collection is currently housed in the British Museum. The collection is currently housed in the British Museum.
The plastic case that houses the batteries. The plastic case that houses the batteries.
House arrest. House arrest.
Houseboat.
Houseboat.
Housebound.
Housebound.
Houseboy.
Houseboy.
Housebreaker.
Housebreaker.
Housebroken.
Housebroken.
Housecall.
Housecall.
Housecoat.
Housecoat.
Housefly.
Housefly.
Houseguest.
Houseguest.
Household. Household.
A growing number of households have at least one computer.
Families are classified by the occupation of the head of the household.
Washing powder and other household products.
Household chores.
Coca-Cola is a household name around the world.
Howdah.
Howdah.
Howdy.
Howdy.
However.
However.
This is a cheap and simple process. However, there are dangers.
An extremely unpleasant disease that is, however, easy to treat.
You should report any incident, however minor it is.
We have to finish however long it takes.
I really want the car, however much it costs.
However did he get that job?
You can do it however you like.
If we win the match, we'll be delighted, however it happens.
However you look at it, it was a wicked thing to do.
Howitzer.
Howitzer.
Howl.
Howl.
The dogs howled all night.
Upstairs, one of the twins began to howl.
Somewhere, someone was howling in pain.
He makes audiences howl with laughter.
Republicans have been howling for military intervention.
Wind howling in the trees.
He let out a howl of anguish.
There were howls of protest.
This suggestion was greeted with howls of laughter.
Howler.
Howler.
Howling.
Howling.
How to. How to.
HP.
HP.
We bought the carpets on HP.
HQ. HQ.
HRH.
HRH.
HRT.
HRT.
The HSC.
The HSE.
HTML.
HTML.
HTML documents.
HTTP.
Hub.
Hub.
Birmingham is at the hub of Britain's motorway network.
The commercial hub of the region.
Hubbub.
Hubbub.
Hobby.
Hubby.
Hubcap.
Hubcap.
Hubris.
Hubris.
Huckleberry.
Huckleberry.
Huckster.
Huckster.
Huddle.
Huddle.
We lay huddled together for warmth.
People huddled around the radio, waiting for news.
She huddled under the blankets.
The snow blew against his huddled body.
The Executive Board huddled to discuss the issue. The Executive Board huddled to discuss the issue. The Executive Board huddled to discuss the issue.
A huddle of straw huts.
Huddles of men stood around talking.
Hue.
Hue.
A golden hue.
Political opinions of every hue.
Hue and cry.
Hue and cry.
Huff.
Huff.
He was huffing and puffing by the time he got to the top.
After a lot of huffing and puffing, he eventually gave in to our request.
I haven't got time for that now, huffed Sam irritably.
She stormed out in a huff.
Huffy.
Huffy.
Some customers get huffy when you ask them for their ID.
Hug.
Hug.
We stood there crying and hugging each other.
She went to her daughter and hugged her tightly. Sarah sat on the floor, hugging her knees.
She stood hugging herself against the cold. She stood hugging herself against the cold.
The small boats hugged the coast.
A figure-hugging dress. He was hugging a big pile of books.
Kate hugged herself with pleasure after receiving the award.
Paul gave me a big hug.
Nesta greeted the visitors with hugs and kisses.
Huge.
Huge.
A huge dog.
Huge crowds.
Your room's huge compared to mine. These shoes make my feet look huge.
Huge sums of money.
We are only now realizing the huge scale of the problem.
A huge increase in cost.
A huge range of issues.
The play was a huge success.
The new system has made a huge difference.
David Hasselhoff is huge in Germany. David Hasselhoff is huge in Germany.
Hugely. Hugely. Her latest album has been hugely successful. The area has changed hugely in the last few years.
Hula.
Hula.
Hula hoop.
Hula hoop.
Hulk.
Hulk.
A hulk of a man.
Hulking.
Hulking.
Two hulking figures guarded the entrance of the club.
Hull.
Hull.
Hullabaloo.
Hullabaloo.
There was a huge hullabaloo when the book was first published.
She looked up to see what all the hullabaloo was about.
Hello.
Hello.
Hum.
Hum.
Tony was humming to himself as he drove along.
He began to hum a tune.
Machines hummed on the factory floor. Machines hummed on the factory floor.
By 9 o'clock, the restaurant was humming.
The streets were humming with life.
The distant hum of traffic.
Human.
Human.
There are many different cell types in the human body.
The power of the human mind.
The desire for joy lies deep within the human spirit.
Infrared light is invisible to the human eye.
Theories of human behavior. Different areas of human experience.
Respect for the absolute value of human life.
The accident was the result of human error.
The meat was declared unfit for human consumption. The meat was declared unfit for human consumption.
He was also a person with very obvious human failings.
He's really not so bad. When you get to know him, he seems quite human.
The president has been accused of lacking the human touch.
Firefighters formed a human chain to carry the brothers to safety. Firefighters formed a human chain to carry the brothers to safety.
Anne Frank was the girl whose diary put a human face on the Holocaust. Anne Frank was the girl whose diary put a human face on the Holocaust.
Humanism.
Humanism.
Humanitarian.
Humanitarian.
Humanitarian aid is being sent to the refugees.
He was released from prison on humanitarian grounds.
Humanity.
Humanity.
We want a clean, healthy environment for all humanity.
Crimes against humanity.
A man of deep humanity.
We must never forget our common humanity.
Humanize.
Humanize.
An attempt to humanize prison conditions.
Humankind.
Humankind.
Humanly.
Humanly.
She wanted to put as much distance as was humanly possible between herself and Adrian. She wanted to put as much distance as was humanly possible between herself and Adrian.
The doctors did everything humanly possible to save the child's life.
Human nature.
Human nature.
Humanoid.
Humanoid.
The robot was humanoid in appearance.
Human race.
Human race.
Human resources.
Human resources manager.
Human right.
Human right.
Human rights violations.
Human shield.
Human shield.
Humble.
Humble.
A modest and humble man.
He started his career as a humble peanut farmer.
Yokocha rose from humble beginnings to become boss of Ford.
The humble potato may be the key to feeding the world's population.
Yokocha rose from humble beginnings to become boss of Ford.
The humble potato may be the key to feeding the world's population.
Welcome to our humble abode.
You can't help but be humbled when you enter this cathedral. You can't help but be humbled when you enter this cathedral.
The mighty U.S. Army was humbled by a small Southeast Asian country.
I knew he had humbled himself to ask for my help. I knew he had humbled himself to ask for my help. A humbling experience.
Humble bragging.
Humble bragging. She's always humble bragging by complaining about the number of parties she has to go to. I find his humble brags both annoying and hilarious.
Humbug.
Humbug.
He dismissed the Prime Minister's comments as pure humbug.
Humdinger.
Humdinger.
A real humdinger of a match.
Humdrum.
Humdrum.
The prisoner's humdrum routine. Humorous.
Humorous.
Humid.
Humid.
Tokyo is extremely humid in midsummer.
Humidifier.
Humidifier.
Humidify.
Humidify.